Well, hello, everybody, and good morning. Welcome to Dattitude. It is the live Friday edition, episode number 161, here on all our NOLA.com social media platforms. We apologize for being a little late. Garland is having some technical difficulties, so at least for now, we hope you saw that he was here. He's been in and out, which is why we're late this morning, so hopefully he'll come back. So I'm going to treat this as if it's like my monologue, because I guess technically, when it's just one person, it is a monologue. And what we're going to be talking about today, obviously, we're talking about the Saints. And the Saints are practicing in Los Angeles. Some of the topics there go. The injured starters appear to be on the mend. There was an Andrus Peat sighting yesterday, boys and girls. Demario Davis looks like he's getting a little bit closer. Kendry Miller, who was thought he might be out until the start of the regular season, he was working out yesterday. He was actually practicing. So, unlike Andrus Peat, who wasn't practicing, just showed up. He looked good in his little uniform there. Hopefully, he'll get on the field at some point soon. And also, Shahid was out in California. So maybe these guys will get back soon. Maybe they won't. I guess we're going to have to wait and see. By the way, got all these fancy new graphics, but I can't use them because there's not two of us. Unless you want to just look at my face like this, I could dance back and forth. We appreciate you joining us. I think Garland is on his way back, so we're going to see. But I'm going to start off the show. I'm going to talk a little bit about Michael Thomas. And Jeff Duncan wrote a column. Let's see if we can get Garland back now. Are you back, Garland, or is it just your pretty face? I'm trying to figure that out. Can you hear us? Can you hear us now, Garland? Garland's used to live TV. Can you hear us now? This is live internet television.
Yeah.
Okay, you can hear us now?
Yeah.
Okay, we're good. We want to talk about the Saints today, obviously. We're going to start with that.
Do you want me to start the computer?
I think there's a little bit behind us, so we're gonna take him off the screen. Oh man, we have 161-ish episodes into this. This is the first one of these we've had. We have not had this issue before. Kelly asks, is the game still on in Louisiana? Hurricane Hillary. Yes, there is a hurricane in the Pacific. It followed us over there, in case you haven't noticed. There is a hurricane headed that way. It doesn't look like it's going to hit until Monday morning/afternoon, and it's not going to hit LA until maybe like Monday afternoon/night. And by the time it gets there, it's just going to be a big old rainstorm. So in answer to your question, as far as we know, the game is still on. And let's try Garland again. Garland, you there? Can you hear me? Can you hear us? Okay, we're gonna have to do this solo, I think, today. Garland's having some internet stream issues, but that's okay. He's actually walking to a different part of the Fox 8 studios, and we're gonna try him again in just a minute. But again, for those just joining us, the Hurricane Hillary in the Pacific, it is such a rare event that I was watching Weather Channel this morning. They said there's only twice since 1900 has a hurricane made landfall in Southern California. Twice since 1900. So, and I don't think it's going to happen again. Even if this thing makes landfall in Southern California as a tropical storm, it doesn't look like it's going to be any stronger than that. Again, it's probably going to bring just bad rain to Southern California. So that's where we are right now with that. Looks like the game will start. It's at 6:05 on Sunday evening. It is going to be on Fox 8. It's also going to be, you'll be able to watch it on the NFL Network. I'm Jim Derry. Again, we're trying to get Garland Gillen on. He's having some technical issues. All right. Mark Zatanovich is asking, yes, there's a hurricane in LA, and it has nothing to do with the Hillary you're thinking of. It's actually Hillary with one L, and that is just the name in order. They go in order. They have a beginning. It starts from A to Z, and the H name just happens to be Hillary this year. Mark's also asking, what's the status of our linebacker core besides Pete Werner and Demario Davis, who we got? Well, that's part of what we're going to talk about today. Demario Davis, again, looks like he's getting closer to being healthy. Looks like he's closer to being able to practice. I am not in California, Mark. I'm in New Orleans, and I don't know what's worse, to have a tropical storm dump tons of rain on you, or have the 100-degree heat that we've had for 2 months now, and we're probably going to have again. Let's try Garland one more time, and I'm just going to have to go solo if it doesn't work. Garland, can you hear us at all? No, I guess not. All right, you're with me solo, so there's no Garland Gillen today. Again, if you're just joining us, wasted all my brand new media graphics here. We're going to talk about LSU and Tulane. We still probably will towards the end of the show, but I want to start off with talking about Michael Thomas. And I've made my share of talking about Andrus Peat throughout the past few weeks, so I'm going to lay off of Andrus a little bit today. Okay, but I wanted to start with Michael Thomas, and Jeff Duncan wrote a column. And as you know, Dunk is one of the most positive people there is. He really is. I mean, he even in this column about Michael Thomas and obviously losing a step, he's still trying to be as positive as possible. If you haven't read it, I encourage everyone to go on to NOLA.com this morning, as Garland is still trying to get on. We're still going to try to get him on. But here's the thing about Michael Thomas that's worrying. If you're counting on him to be one of the top receivers for this team this morning, the column, again, NOLA.com/Saints. NOLA.com/sports/Saints. You can find the story. But it starts off with a former NFL receivers coach asking the New Orleans media about Michael Thomas and saying, quote, "Are y'all from New Orleans? What's up with Michael Thomas? He can't get off the line of scrimmage. He's getting locked up by a safety." Okay. And Jeff says that this is not the former coach. He's not the first one to ask this question. And you got to worry. I mean, you have got to worry about Michael Thomas even contributing at this point. And, look, again, I worried about Andrus Peat a few weeks ago. Now it looks like he's coming back. I'm like wondering if this is going to linger 4 or 5 games into the season. Well, now, I mean, so I know sometimes I'm a doomsday kind of guy, but seriously, if Michael Thomas can't be your number 2, where is this team? As deep as they are, Rasheed Shahid banged up as well. And I see Garland might be close to trying. He's actually in the studio now, looks like. And I'll try to add him in just a minute. But, I mean, if Michael Thomas can't play, or if he's not anywhere close to himself, and Mark, you got a good point. A.T. Perry looked really good, but can he already be a number 2? And again, Michael Thomas is back. I mean, I know you might be clicking in and out, but the point is, if other coaches, other teams that are scouting the Saints ahead of playing them are already talking about Michael Thomas potentially not being able to get off the line of scrimmage, and maybe it's just because he hasn't had enough practice. But and Dunk goes through his column and he talks about there was some good. He won 3 of the 4 reps in one-on-one drills against safety Derwin James, who is a very good safety for the Chargers, and against cornerback Asante Samuel. So that's good news. Do a big pass interference penalty against Matt Hankins. But he got jammed at the line of scrimmage so bad by Derwin James, he had to turn into a defensive back to prevent an interception. So these are things that I'm worried about while just watching, because we continue to talk about what's going to be good for this team. And again, we're going to get into the NFL preview part. I still haven't made up my mind. Part of this show today is going to be talking about the 27 of 28 media members being thrilled and saying the Saints are going to have a winning record. And we went through this last year. We went through the similar thing last year. So it's really worrisome that that's where we are right now. Because if they don't have this wide receiver depth, they already don't have offensive line depth. Getting Derek Carr is great. Having Alvin Kamara back and having him only miss 3 games is wonderful. So running back, you're pretty deep. But, man, you got to worry about the wide receiver room. And, look, Garland, I think we're going to try him one more time. I see him moving around back there. Can you hear us now, Garland Gillen? Live TV. Garland, can you hear us now? All right. He is actually moving to one other spot. We're trying this. Again, 161 episodes in. We have never had this happen before. So I'm not sure where to go with it. He keeps on trying. I got to give him credit. But back to Michael Thomas talking about some of the things. Marshawn Lattimore says he's still getting there. which means he's not there yet. So I'm trying to reserve. I guess what I'm saying about Michael Thomas is I'm really trying to reserve judgment, and you can't get anything through preseason. But how long is it going to take him to be ready? How long is it going to take him to be that number 2 guy? That's what's concerning to me more than anything. Garland, I see you're trying again. Are you back? Dead air. Man, it's been a bad week for the Saints. I guess it's a bad week for Dattitude. We've had some really good shows this week, by the way. If you go back yesterday and watch what Spencer and I were talking about with this team and the injuries, the good news is, so let's not be Derry Downer for the entire show. The good news is some of these injured players do look like they're on the mend. Having Demario Davis out there is good news. Will we see he and Pete Werner for week 1 is a good question. We had that question earlier when we first started the show, but I think there's a good chance that they both will be ready by week 1. That's what it's looking like, and that's what our Saints guys are telling us. You can follow Luke Johnson and Jeff Duncan and Rod Walker all on NOLA.com /sports/Saints. Also, they're doing a new podcast called Saints Insider. But having these players come back and having Kendre Miller come back this early and having him practice already does tell me that he's going to be ready for week 1. And you're going to need him because right now, with Alvin Kamara being gone for the first 3 games against Tennessee, against Carolina, against Green Bay, all teams that have a decent defense, Carolina especially, we saw them last year. They were I think they were the number 3 defense. Commanders were the number 3. I think the Panthers were either number 2 or number 4. They were one of those 2. And they have a chance to be a top 5 defense again. So you're looking at the NFC South with some good defenses. Atlanta is much improved on defense this year. We haven't talked a whole lot about Atlanta yet, and I know people don't want to give the Falcons any credit. NFL previews for the NFC South is coming up the week of September the 5th, right after Labor Day. That Tuesday will be Atlanta, and Tampa Bay is not going to be very good. So they're going to go from first to worst. I'll be surprised if they don't. But so you got to be able to get off the line of scrimmage, and our offensive lineman, again, getting Andrus Peat back, even if he doesn't start, it is going to be key. Because if he can't get in there, James Hurst is limited to playing left guard. He is the most versatile offensive lineman, along with Calvin Throckmorton, who's going to be a backup. The most versatile offensive lineman that the Saints have. Got to be able to move him around. So if he's stuck at left guard and Trevor Penning isn't what a lot of people hope Trevor Penning to be, you're stuck on the offensive line. That's why I keep saying, really, this team is one catastrophe away on the offensive line from being in trouble. And Garland says that he's trying to reboot. We're going to try him one more time in a little bit because I do want him to come on as we get towards the end of the show. And we got about 10, 15 minutes left in the live portion of the show. One thing I do want Garland to come on is talk about LSU and Tulane, because the rankings came out this week. I'm not ready to pivot that way yet, but LSU is number 5 and Tulane is number 24. And I want to ask him specifically about Tulane because I'm surprised that they were that low. But Saints and Chargers on Sunday, what do we think? Saints are a 3.5-point favorite. Last week, they were 3-point favorites over the Chiefs. Both team starters played last week. What about this week? Doesn't look like either team starters will play, or they won't play for very long. Don't think Derek Carr is going to get any playing time. I don't think Justin Herbert's going to get in as well. Again, if either one of those guys get in, it's going to be for very little time. Now, going back to Michael Thomas, I do think he might play because you need to get him as many reps as possible, especially live reps. So I think there's a good chance that someone like Michael Thomas gets in. Is there any reason to play an Olave? I would think not. How many of the first-string offensive linemen are you going to play? They didn't look as good yesterday in the joint practices out in Los Angeles, was what they're doing. Yesterday and today, they're having joint practices. And Dunk was talking about how many false start penalties this first-string unit had. 4 of them. They had 4 pre-snap penalties, which, great, you're getting it out of the way early. But as good as they looked against Kansas City, you can't be doing that again here going into we're only 3 weeks away from the start of the regular season. So one more preseason game after this one. It's going to be home in the Dome against the Texans a week from Sunday, and then they're done. Then it's regular season time. So before we get to the LSU and Tulane portion, as we talked about, again, here we go again. Local media in unison with the cheery predictions. And why I say here we go again, because if you haven't been paying attention, last year it was 27 of 27 media members that Jeff Duncan polled picked the Saints to win at least 9 games, 9 or more games, a winning record. In fact, a vast majority of them picked to win double digits. Now, it wasn't quite as big of a deal this year. It wasn't quite as many this year. It was actually, I think you had maybe it was like 30-40% picked them to win 9. Ed Daniels actually was the only one that picked them to have a losing record. So where does that leave us? Do we buy into the hype again? Does it matter what the local media says? Because that's the trouble that I'm having right now trying to figure out my predictions. And again, I can honestly sit here, and we are, 3 weeks away from when I make my prediction public. And I can tell you I have no idea what I'm going to pick. Last year, I was buying into the hype. Last year, the over-under in the summer last year, or I think May to June, it was 7.5 at Harrah's or at Caesars Sportsbook, which is the official odds partner of bet.NOLA.com, by the way. And then it went up to 8.5 because all the money, even the big money, the sharp money, the people who know what they're talking about, were jumping on the Saints bandwagon. They were betting them at 7.5. They were betting them at 8. They didn't care what it cost. And even at 8.5, they were buying them, and so was the local media. So I guess what I'm saying is, do we buy into it? Because I'm always I want to be on the contrarian side. There's a reason why Vegas makes money. If a line is 3.5 and it looks like 70-80% of the money is on the side of getting the 3.5 points, well, I'm going to give the 3.5. I know people don't like to give 3.5 points, but I want to be the contrarian. And the reason why is Vegas knows more than me. They know more than you, and they certainly know more than average Joe better. That's why I'm going to go on the other side. And I try to find when there's a 70 or an 80%, I want to be one of the 20, 30%. So what is the status this year? The number is not nearly the same. In fact, it's coming down. So some of this big money is actually coming towards the under. So the people who, quote unquote, know what they're talking about, the sharp bettors that were all betting the over last year, most of those people are betting the under right now. It's 9.5 at Caesars Sportsbook, which means that you have to, if you're going to bet, you're betting that the Saints will either win more than 9.5 games, 10 or more you win, 9 or less you lose. Okay, so the Saints have a winning record at 9-8, and you bet the over, you lose. It's a tough bet. So the sharps, I think, are saying right now that the Saints are right around a 9-win kind of team. Will 9 wins win the NFC South? I think you're better off betting that, actually. If you like the Saints and you want to make a bet on the Saints and not a Super Bowl bet, not a conference bet, I think the most value you're going to get right now with the New Orleans Saints is going to bet them to win the division. Because right now, I think it's plus 105. It was plus 120 about a week and a half ago. And that means if you bet $100 for the Saints to win the division, if they do win it, you get $105 back plus your original bet. So you would get $205 back in return. I think that is a much better bet than trying to bet this over-under. All right, Garland is with us, and Derek L. has a question. We're going to bring him on in just a second. But I think we really have Garland Gillen this time. Let's see. Do we really have you this time?
You got me, bud.
I see you're in the studio, man. You made them leave.
No, well, I went all over the station to figure out where the heck the best Wi-Fi in this place was, and I thought maybe the TV, studio would be great. Luckily, well, we have come this fall. We will have programming from 4 a.m. to 1 p.m. straight, like all Fox 8 program.
Really?
No syndication. So for me to find this empty, space, you got to hold on tight to it because come September, Chevy Latino has a show from 10 to 11:30. Lee Zirk has Investigate TV. So this studio will be like on lockdown for 9 hours straight come September.
So how are you going to record all your 10:30 shows? When are you going to do that in the afternoon?
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Hey, what do you mean record them? It's all live.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm kidding. Sometimes, yes. Sometimes we do shows live. Sometimes we tape them.
I don't want to give any inside information. Sorry. Ignore what I just said, people of Dattitude.
No. It's fine.
All right.
No.
So what we've been talking about this morning, or what I've been talking about this morning, is there's a couple things. The injured players that are key to this team seem to be, for the most part, on the mend, which is good news. So we have a good news, bad news kind of morning. Bad news is we talk about Michael Thomas and some of the word, what I'm getting out of Jeff. I don't know if you read Jeff Duncan's column this morning.
I'm glad you brought this up, because this has been a running thing all through training camp. And a lot of people that I'm friends with that are non-media are asking me a lot of questions. If you follow some people that cover the Saints, the Michael Thomas coverage is a little amped up. I think Jeff's perfect, because you gotta you get a different aspect of it. I think sometimes it gets dangerous in the media if you pump up someone too much, or a player or a team.
For sure.
And then week one comes and this team looks, loses, and everybody's like, well, why you been pumping this guy up, or this team all camp? And, it's Jeff has given us another side. I think it's a great column, because yes, Michael Thomas shows flashes of his old self, but he's also got a lot to work on. And, Jeff pointed out both, because to be very honest, if you read a lot of the coverage, I thought Michael Thomas was having the best day ever. And then Jeff kind of laid it all out different. All I got to watch was, I was in the sports office, Sean Fazan, Edwin Good, our photographer out there. And all I got to watch was raw video. I got to see every clip Edwin had. So I can't really get a good gauge, who's getting jammed behind the line of scrimmage. Jeff had bird's eye view. We could see that. So I'm glad Jeff wrote that story, because I thought Michael Thomas did much better. And I will say this, individual drills, yeah, he did win 3 of 4. But also, I'll never forget this, the first day of LSU camp this summer, we were freaking out because the offense dominated the defense in one-on-ones, receiver, cornerback, won almost every drill. Yeah. And Brian Kelly's like, guys, y'all need to calm down. The offense always has the advantage over the defense when you're doing one-on-one, wide receiver, cornerback. The quarterback has no rush in his face, okay? So y'all need to just back up. So I would say the same when it comes to drills where it's just wide receiver against cornerback. The quarterback is not facing a 300-pound guy coming at him full speed. He's sitting back there. He's kind of feeling it out. So, the one-on-ones can be a little deceiving. But, yeah, I will say this. Mike Thomas, he's not the number one receiver anymore, okay?
There's no question about that.
Yeah, Colin Cowherd put out a list of the top 10 wide receiver quarterback duos in the NFL. He has Chris Olave, Derek Carr, number 5, okay? So, Olave is number 1. And to be very honest, Mike T might be number 2. I mean, Juwan Johnson is. Yeah,
but hold on, though. Colin Cowherd also was talking about a dead quarterback and Dwayne Haskins.
Oh wow!
Well,
we're not gonna. I'm not gonna get into all that foolishness. But my point is that I think Derek Carr and Olave are one of the best duos in the NFL.
I agree.
Top 10, 15, they're in there. And Juwan Johnson, it might be the second best option for the Saints. I think Mike T is the third best option. But I will tell you this: 5 yard, 10 yards out from the line of scrimmage. He's still very reliable. He can use his body. He can slant the daylights out of a defense. I think he'll get some touchdowns this year. He's not going to get you a lot of yardage. I think I can't remember. I don't think you were on the show. Oh, it was Zach Ewing was on the show. One of your coworkers. The over under at Caesar Sportsbook with Michael Thomas and yards is 725, which goes down to 43 yards a game, which doesn't sound like a lot. Mike T's not going to have insane. Yeah. He's not going to have crazy numbers, okay, yardage-wise. Now, he's going to get some touches, but that's just not who he is anymore, okay? Chris Olave is going to take the top off the defense. His over-under total at Caesar Sportsbook is 1,050 yards, which is 73 yards per game. That's over 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
Michael Thomas, he's still rough. It's just getting back to the main point. It's always good to have numerous sets of eyes in the media watching these practices, because you can get different views, because sometimes it could sway one way or the other. And people can maybe point to me. Somebody the other day jumped on me that I had Alabama behind LSU in my rankings. I covered the team.
Right.
Well, I know, but not everybody. Some people. There's people out there that try to think that I'm trying to look through things with a purple and gold eyes. I just think LSU is better than Bama. But guess what? I'm also not high on the cornerbacks for LSU, and they could definitely lose this opener. Okay, I'm not trying to like pump it all up where LSU
absolutely.
I mean, when you have Zy Alexander and Deuce Chestnut as your starting cornerbacks, one had a lot of injuries and now came from Syracuse, who's starting. And the other side got Zy Alexander, who played Southeastern last year. And his backups are Ashton Stamps, a true freshman out of Rummel, and then LaTerrence Welsh out of Acadiana, who's a redshirt freshman. And then Denver Harris, who's not even on the team right now, is one of the other cornerbacks who's running third string. I am really worried about what LSU has at corner because guess what? Florida State has Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson at wide receiver. So that number 4 ranking that I gave LSU can go away quickly. Okay, you got it. People want to know both sides of the table here, and yes, I think LSU is a really good team, but also I think there's some problems. You got to do the same thing with the Saints.
Well,
yes,
I said on the final bet, and we're going to get to LSU in a little bit, but before we let you go, but I think I've said on final bet that I think Florida State is a top 5 team. I think LSU and Florida State are potentially both top 5 teams. And whoever wins that game 2 weeks from Sunday is going to have a massive advantage when we're talking about playoffs later, especially if it's a Florida State. Because really, if they can beat LSU and they can beat a Clemson, their path to the playoffs is clear.
Yeah,
We'll get to that. I want to ask you a couple questions. And one thing, my point about Michael Thomas wasn't so much that he needs to be even a number 2 because he might not be a number 2. I agree. Juwan Johnson may end up being the number 2 receiver for this team. It's very possible. But when it comes to Duncan is one of the most positive people that you're ever going to meet, whether it be in his writing, whether it be just in general. I mean, he'll complain about things here and there, but when you read Jeff Duncan or you have him on the air for anything, he's always going to take the positive road. So for him to even write a semi-negative piece tells me a lot. That was my point, kind of.
No, he's just making some valid points. And you know what? He was listening to a former coach, okay? As much as I know about football and you know about football and maybe Jeff knows about football, it's always good to have someone who's been in the game to kind of bounce off.
Right.
And this is a former coach that Jeff quoted in the story, didn't use his name. But yeah, Michael Thomas, was getting jammed at the line of scrimmage by a safety, getting pushed back. And, Jeff had to point that out, and that's a different point of view that I like to see because I didn't hear that from anywhere else, that, his day wasn't all, puppy dogs and rainbows,
Well, there's no doubt that that's the case. So we've got about another 12 to 15 minutes left on the show. And so we are going to be able to take questions if you want to. You better type them in quickly. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, type them in. We'll put them on the screen like Derek did here. Now, Garland, before you came back on and I was talking by myself, one of the things that I was talking about was the offensive line. And I've been on Andrus Peat a lot. Okay, I've been on his butt for the past, longer than the past 16 days, but he's been out of work for 16, 17 days now. Just because he was in uniform yesterday means nothing to me. Until he starts practicing and gets in a game, I don't care that he's wearing his jersey. It means absolutely nothing to me. So my point was, if he can't play, even if he doesn't start, that's okay. But the point is, if he can't play at all, you're stuck with Hurst at left guard, starting and playing there all the time, and he's your most versatile offensive lineman. So, which means you're forced into Trevor Penning having to be your left tackle no matter what, even if he completely stinks or whatever. So we have a question from Derek. I want you to answer this one. It is, if I can get it to, I have all kinds of issues this morning. So what are the Saints' options on the O-line if Hurst is quote-unquote stuck? That might not be the right word. But at left guard, what veteran free agents are available that the Saints could possibly sign? Are there any? I heard this morning, all right, the Jets are now looking for offensive linemen. So to me, offensive lineman is one of those positions where everyone's looking for an offensive lineman. It's not like you just go cherry pick one off the tree and say, okay, you come play for us now.
No, and Landon Young got hurt in the practice last Friday at the Caesars Superdome. So that's a concern. And then, Pete might be coming back soon. He was dressed out. Now, he didn't practice against the Chargers on Thursday, but at least he was dressed out. He's got to be getting closer, But as you alluded to, I think James Hurst right now is that starter left guard. And you'd like to have Hurst kind of kick around. You got Throckmorton,
right?
You got Saldivari, who they like. The backup center is Max Perez. So I think they're going to roll with the guys they got right now. I think they have enough to build. Storm Norton, we didn't throw out there yet also. So they have like 8 or 9 guys that I think they can rely on. I don't think they're going to go on the free agent market right now and get an offensive lineman. I thought getting a running back was a big deal because we didn't know what that injury was on Kendra Miller, but he was already back at practice. So, this kid, for him sitting out the national championship game with a major injury, you were really worried about this injury he suffered.
Well, especially because it was the same injury.
Yeah, no. So, it's huge that Kendra Miller's back, especially with, Kamara is going to be out the first 3 games of the season. I was actually during the Saints preseason game last week, I was really worried that Jamal Williams was getting too much playing time. Like, we know what Jamal Williams is. I was like, dude, you need to get him out. Okay. We know what he can get. Let's see more of Ellis Merriweather, because
is it just to get him acclimated though to this offense? I think more than anything, probably.
Yeah. I just know that you're starting running back in week 1, and you don't want to get him hit by too many defensive linemen that are over 300 pounds and landing on his leg awkwardly when he's the guy against the Tennessee Titans. I'm more worried about who's gonna, if they're gonna be that third guy. And Darrell Williams, who I covered at John Aaron and I covered at LSU. Dude, I never forget going to the John Aaron weight room, and just an absolute beast on the weights. I knew this guy was gonna be a stud in high school.
2,000 yards.
He was fantastic for the John Aaron Patriots.
He was one of those guys that was unsung because he was the same. His senior class was the same as Leonard Fournette.
Correct.
So he kind of got lost in the shuffle.
And when I interviewed him in high school, I think he knew that, and then he went to LSU behind Fournette again. And
he's a quiet, unassuming guy, which is
right. But I could tell even when I was interviewing him in high school, I could tell it worked on him a little that Leonard, he didn't say it, but I could kind of underline that. Hey, he was saying, hey, I'm really good too, by the way. Okay, I know Leonard. I respect Leonard Fournette. He's doing well, and this is just me reading between the lines when I interviewed him in high school. But he was a really strong running back, and I know we've talked about before, and you do a VSN, and I posted just recently. We love covering high school football because we get to see these kids before they become who they are. I posted today, we're 2 weeks away from Fox 8 Football Friday.
Yes, we are.
And I had a picture that I posted on Instagram and Twitter today. It's me and Jamar Chase at his national signing day, bright-eyed kid with his LSU hat on and everything. And now he's the number 1 receiver or number 2 if you're a big Justin Jefferson guy in the NFL. And
either way, you got Rummel and Destrehan as the top 2 receivers in the National Football League.
To get a soundbite out of Jamar Chase in high school, Rummel was extremely hard to do. He was a very quiet kid. And so it's really fun. I know you feel the same way. It's really fun to cover these kids in high school because extremely quiet kids, and all of a sudden they explode on the college and in NFL, and they're way more outgoing now because Jamar Chase in high school was very quiet, but he was a silent assassin because he could kill him. Chandler Fields and him had a good rapport in high school there, and he was fantastic. So 2 weeks away. I'm sure you're going to be. You got your game for week 1 on VSN.
Shaw St. Charles.
Oh, you're going back to your old hood. Very.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm going to be the voice of the Shaw Eagles this year. I'm doing all 7 of their home games on VSN. So the 3 weeks that they're on the road, we will be doing other games. We're doing week 2. We're doing Lakeshore and Chalmette, and week 6 and week 9. I have not confirmed, so I don't want to say on the air yet, but. Okay. I am going to be the voice of my alma mater, the Archbishop Shaw Eagles this year. They play Rummel at home in week 3. So
the battle for the megaphone.
Yeah,
that's always a big one. Hey, I know we're not going to go all the way deep into this high school football, but I think your alma mater is going to have a strong team this year. That week 1 game against St. Charles Catholic is going to tell me a lot about their upcoming season.
I agree. I think it's going to be very interesting, and I am absolutely looking forward to it. And I love Wayne Stein. So as much as I'm a fan of my alma mater, obviously, and just thrilled to be the TV voice of the Shaw Eagles, I have a lot of appreciation for Wayne Stein, and always have. And the defending, what is it? Division
Division 3.
Division 3
champ.
select champs.
Yeah, Shaw's in the Division 2, and Shaw
that's right.
might make a run in Division 2 to the Dome. They got a good team.
They got a shot.
Yeah, Division 2 is not as strong, so they can definitely have a shot there. I know STM, St. Thomas More, is always in the mix. De La Salle, U-High. U-High played in Division 3 last year. But
we may do one show about high schools on Dattitude, maybe. We'll see how it goes.
Hey, you know me.
I'd say Friday is awesome, by the way, and I'm not just blowing smoke because Garland's on the air. Seriously, there's another show that everybody likes to talk about, and they're in season and whatever. I was a young guy when that first came on. But Fox 8 Friday, people should watch it. It's I DVR both of them, and I watch Fox 8 Friday first.
Yeah. Hey, well, we come on at 10:35. We're 30 minutes ahead of a lot of the others, and it's a 30-minute show. It's fast. It's fast paced, and we love. Hey, we're the home of the New Orleans Saints. We have a lot of those games, but we are hardcore in LSU, Tulane, and I'm also in high school football. Heck, I was at Hammond America 2 days ago, and I think I posted the story on my Twitter this morning, and it's on fox8live.com. I was at Southeastern talking to Frank Selfo about their top 25 teams. So football is so rich in this area between high school, college, and pro that there's never a dull moment in this industry. So I'm, Sean Fazan is in California. So I'm doing a little college. I got Michael Turner Jr. I got a story on him today. He's a wide receiver from John Curtis. He had a touchdown the other day, Jim. I don't know if you saw it on my Twitter. But or I guess it's X now, whatever you want to say.
X, what I don't care.
Yeah,
I still call it Twitter.
If you haven't, check it out. Michael Turner Jr. had a catch the other day. It's going to be in my story today. It's going to air about 5:45, 5:50 on Fox 8 today. Dude, he is insanely fast. LSU is getting an absolute burner. He's a great kid, but that story is airing today. I'm working on that right now.
Well, that is a great segue because I want to, before I let you go, I may bring up the 27 to 28 media members thing. I kind of talked a little bit about it before you got on, but I want to talk about LSU in this Florida State game. And to me, I don't think people realize the importance of this game. It's not just your regular everyday first game of the year, pre-conference game. Look, it was big last year, but I don't think anyone knew how good LSU could be last year. I don't think anyone was expecting them to be as good as they were, but people are expecting a lot out of this LSU team this year. There's a reason why Jaden Daniels is one of the top Heisman candidates, because if LSU goes 11-1 in the regular season, he's going to have a really good chance to be the Heisman winner. But LSU, Florida State, to me, these are two teams. Again, I think both of them, when all is said and done, could be in the top 5 or at least top 8. They're both in the top 8 right now. What do you make of this game? What is this contest? I think it's going to be high scoring.
Yeah, LSU's only a 2-point favorite in this contest. This game could go either way. I think I have Florida State in my AP poll. I think either 6 or 7. So I got them right behind LSU. This LSU team is really good on offense. I'm just, as I pointed out a little while ago, I'm really worried about their secondary, especially the cornerback position. And Jordan Travis picked apart that secondary last year. Mason Smith, you hope he plays more than 5 plays this time around, though. But he's been hurt during camp. He's been in and out. You got to put that guy in bubble wrap until this game in 2.5 weeks, because you don't need that guy not out there. So that'll be big. It's gonna be a really close game. I think also I will be in Orlando for this opener. I can't wait. This could set up everything. Like you said, if LSU can win this game, it's a rocket ship. They can start rolling through teams. I don't think Alabama. I know you don't think Alabama's good. I know I posted that clip on Twitter that you said they could be an 8 or 7 win team. Nick Saban could be gone. I cannot wait to repost that video later in the season. Either you're going to be right or you're going to be wrong. But either way, I'm going to be like, Jim Derry in August said this.
I'm going to, if Nick Saban is not the coach, if he steps down or was not going to be fired, whatever, if he's forced out or leaves or whatever it is, if he's not the coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide, let's say January the 10th, I'm gonna go back and find it and retweet it or whatever it is.
Oh, I'll tell you where it is. Yeah.
Okay.
I got you back, dude. I
I'm
got
sure
it
you
on there. You know, it's very easy to find old clips on Twitter. So yeah. I got you on that one. But yeah, this game is going to be great. I know we're only 8 days away from week 0. I never been more excited for a Notre Dame Navy game in my life. But
you're a diehard. That's sick.
Well, hey, I mean, you remember the first game of week 0 last year? What it was?
No.
It was Nebraska Northwestern. Okay, and
I remember it was tight. That's all I remember.
Yeah, that was Northwestern's
two bad teams.
It was Northwestern's only win of the season. But you know what? I was at Cooter Brown's uptown. The place was jam packed because it was the first game of the college football season. Yeah. I don't know where I'm going next Saturday for the game, but I will be in New Orleans, and I'm actually off next Saturday. So I will be watching that game somewhere with the crew because it's a kickoff of the season. It's a celebration.
I can tell you it's my last Saturday fully off until probably December something. So I'm pretty sure I probably won't be watching a ton of college football that day. I mean, look, I got a wife and 2 girls at home that don't give a rat's ass about college football. So I'm probably going to go off and do. I mean, I'm just being honest. So, but if I force you to make a prediction right now, because I want to talk about Tulane for 2 minutes before we go. But if I force you to make a prediction about LSU, Florida State, because I'm probably not going to have you on. I'm almost definitely not going to have you on again for this game. I put you on the spot. Who do you like, LSU, Florida State?
After what happened last year, I think LSU fights back. You got to think about this. Every coach on offense is back, and they've had Jaden Daniels for another year in the system. I think LSU wins this game. I think last year you could tell. I mean, it was the first time this team got together. It was a lot different for Jaden Daniels and this team. They got a year in the system. Jaden Daniels is getting a lot of Heisman publicity this season. I think he has an offensive line that is now a veteran offensive line. Will Campbell, Emory Jones, another year in the system. I like the receivers. Malik Neighbors, I've
He's
been
take a big step this year, Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, I've been to 3 training camp practices, and every single one, he has an absolutely sick catch. Yeah. And then the other guy, I know you covered him. I know I covered him since his freshman year. Aaron Anderson's putting guys he's putting players in a blender practice each day. He looks great. And the key is also, Jim, is that he's doing punt return and kick return, which was an absolute disaster last year for LSU. He can lock in both of those. He's 5'9".
Anyway.
Yeah, he's 5'9", 180, and he is an absolute speedster. That's another huge key. So I'm putting all this together, putting a bow on it. I think that LSU wins this game in Orlando on Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, and I'm not ready to give my prediction yet, but I will say this about Aaron Anderson. I've been in this gig for 33 years doing all kinds of different jobs, and Aaron Anderson might be the best high school return man that I've ever seen. And that's saying something because there have been a lot of really good ones. So the fact that he's back there for LSU, I think you're going to see some real excitement this season. I don't know if he still wears number 4 or not, does he? What does he wear now?
Well, no, Uno.
Number 1. He's wearing number
1 now. Yeah, he's number 1 now. I shot a bunch of video of him the other day. Yeah, you talk about it. My Aaron Anderson moment, the first time I covered Carr was in week 3 of his freshman year.
Yeah.
And he took a kickback against Landry for 80 yards. And I remember looking at the roster. I'm looking at it, and I'm like, Aaron Anderson, and it says freshman. I'm like, this must be a misprint. I went up to one of the coaches for Ed Nakar. I'm like, hey, this isn't right. I mean, this dude ain't a freshman, right? He's like, nope, Aaron Anderson, he's a freshman. And that was my oh my God moment. And yet that was his freshman year. And then
Bryce talked about Aaron Anderson before I even saw him. Bryce Brown, the coach of Ed Nakar. He was telling me about Aaron Anderson before I ever laid eyes on the dude. And coaches like to lay this hyperbole on guys, but he was right. And the same as Hank telling me about TJ Finley, and I know TJ has been a bit of a disappointment in college, but
hey, he's getting a new start at Texas State. This is his third stop.
I hope he gets a real chance.
No, I'm keeping track of that one. His little brother Cody Finley. It plays receiver, tight end at SLU. Yeah. So I talked to Cody the other day for a minute. So Finley family's always been really good with me.
Wonderful family.
Yeah,
a model family. I would even say.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see what he does at Texas State.
All right, Tulane Green Wave. Now, when the poll came out this week and they were number 24, I was really surprised. I gotta say, I mean, I don't vote, so I'm I'm intrigued to know where you put Tulane in your poll, because I thought coming off of a 9th ranking last year. Now, I'm not saying they should have been number 9. You lose Tajay and you lose a couple guys on defense, but for the most part, their offensive line comes back intact for the most part. I think they still have a solid backfield, receivers that can scare you, and Michael Pratt comes back. So I would put him somewhere around 15. Why was this Tulane team so low, and where did you put him in your rankings?
So they start at 24 in the AP poll. I actually have him at 17.
Right around where I would put him.
And I wasn't even the highest. I went back and looked. There's one of the voters had Tulane at 15, so I wasn't the highest. They had a lot of voters that had Tulane not even in the top 25. Okay,
that's insane.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Well, if Michael Pratt wasn't back, I'd have trouble with putting him in the top 25.
Okay, fair enough.
But Michael Pratt's back. 4 of their 5 starters in the offensive line are back. You got Shahid Clayton-Johnson, Iverson Celestine, and then Arnold Barnes.
Clayton, another high school stud that we watched.
Yeah, Shahid Clayton-Johnson killed it at Warren Easton. You covered Iverson Celestine at Fontainebleau High. And then now we have Arnold Barnes in there from Booker T. Washington, who was a really strong running back last year in high school. And then you still got Jaquan Jackson from Hahnville.
Yep.
And Lawrence Keys, who came from Notre Dame with the MAC 35 in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they got a lot of weapons on offense. So I'm rolling with this team. You know,
I didn't even realize Lawrence Keys was still playing. It seems like it was at MAC 35 like 10 years ago.
Lawrence Keys is still playing for the Tulane Green Wave. Yeah, he's one of the Watts twins. I can't remember which one.
Okay.
Either one of them's still there. I don't know. It's Deuce or Fat. I get them mixed up all the time.
Yeah.
But one of the Watts twins is there. The tight end that caught the winning catch in the Cotton Bowl, he is no doubt still there. He's a youngster. So
why are they not higher? I mean, 17 sounds good, but I might even have them a little higher. Why is the national media just like dissing on Tulane?
They're the only. You get this, Jim? They're the only Group of 5 team that's in the AP top 25. So So I thought that was a little surprising, also.
Yeah, I did see that stat actually.
And then when it comes to the AAC and the preseason poll, UTSA is right up there, also right behind Tulane. Well, we're going to figure it out all early, Jim, because they host South Allen.
They're going to beat Ole Miss.
Okay. No. Oh,
they're going to beat Ole Miss.
All right.
Have me on final bet that week.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. Because they're only a touchdown favorite over South Alabama in week 1. I think South Alabama has a strong team. But week 2, they're a touchdown underdog. The Rebs come to New Orleans. I mean, dude, I've talked to a lot of Ole Miss fans, and they figured out a way around this ticket situation.
Yeah.
They bought season tickets, and they figured out that if you buy a season ticket, it's so much cheaper than going and buying like just single games like on one of the secondary markets. So a lot of people
That's chicken.
Well,
so now I don't usually say this word on my podcast, but I don't care. That's chicken shit.
Yeah, no,
it is.
The Ole Miss fans want to get into this game.
Typical Ole Miss. They don't care about the season ticket thing for Tulane.
Well, maybe the Ole Miss fans
will filling up Yeoman Stadium for the other games. We don't care about Tulane.
Maybe the Ole Miss fans will do a solid. They'll bring their ticket books to the Ole Miss Tulane game and leave them outside the gate like the rest of the season tickets, so they can like redisperse them. So I don't know what the South Alabama game is going to look like now, because I think a lot of Ole Miss fans are buying season tickets up. But that game's going to be a sellout. But Quinshawn.
I wish you wouldn't have told me that. I really, Ole Miss and Alabama are the 2 colleges that I just can't stand.
Hey, don't shoot the messenger.
I'm obviously biased when it comes to picking against those 2 teams. So, I would love nothing more than Saban to just fall flat on his face. And probably, I think Alabama or Ole Miss fan out there watching or listening to the show, just hit the stop button. But I don't give a damn.
I'm just telling you, don't shoot the messenger. I just know how Ole Miss fans want to be at that game, and that's what they're doing. I'm here to report the news. I report the news. You decide. Okay.
Okay. Well, this is an opinion-based show, and they can piss off, but that's a whole nother story. I hope they keep listening, but still, they can piss off. All right. Let's. Before I let you go, 2 quick things. First off, you see the bottom line down there: 27 of 28 media members. Again,
here we go again. Graphic. Look at this graphic.
Well, thank you.
Beautiful.
We have been tweaking our graphics here at Dattitude, and I think we finally came up with something we like. 27 of 28. Last year was 27 of 27. So you were one of those. So was I. So I don't know what the hell. I don't know what the hell I'm picking this year. So I haven't decided. But here we go again. Do we believe the local media hype train or not?
So I had one of your colleagues on, Scott Kushner, on Final Bet yesterday.
Okay.
Last year, he got into it with someone else on Twitter, names not to be said.
Okay.
About Scott pointed out last year that every media member picked them to go over 500, and he said this doesn't look good for the Saints. Yeah. And then a little Twitter spat happened. And guess what? Scott Kushner was right. Okay, he was right. He's like, because he was like, hey, if everybody goes one way, I think the move is to go the other way.
100%.
And so this year, I mean, I got them going 9-8. And to be very honest, their over/under win total is 9.5. So I'm actually going under what the speculation is. But I also pointed out in Jeff Duncan's column, I had them going 9-8, but I said that's good enough to win the NFC South. The other reason why I had them going 9-8 is because I think Derek Carr is a major upgrade over Andy Dalton and James.
But what if he's on his backside for 17 games?
Well, I mean,
O-line is ranked 28th by PFF.
Okay,
just ahead of the Washington Commanders.
I like New Orleans' offensive line. Their starting offensive line. If they don't have a bunch of injuries, they're good. I mean, that's a quality offensive line. I think Eric McCoy is one of the better centers in the NFL. If they stay healthy, then big if stay healthy. Right. But no, I like what Derek Carr has, and I like the weapons he has. So
you're saying that it doesn't bother you. You're not going to let that bother you at all. That everybody and their grandma is picking the Saints again.
Well, they did it last year, and we were all wrong.
Right, so you're going to do it again this year.
I think a lot of us were all wrong last year, though. I mean, there's no way I saw them going 7-10. I mean, Jameis Winston got hurt, and then everything went sideways. So,
well, I mean, you look at this schedule right here. Okay, Tennessee at Carolina at Green Bay, fine, Tampa Bay, but 4 of the first 6 games on the road is a little worrisome, just a little bit worrisome, and then the Thursday night game against Jacksonville. So, if they can get a really good start, I don't see how you can't like them, because I think then they go through a stretch where they should win a bunch of games. But man, if they can't, I don't know, man. If they don't get a hot start, I think it's really going to be a problem.
Yeah, no, week 1. I mean, Tennessee is a really good team. They're only 3-point favorites in that game, so I think that they can get off to a sharp start. Now, week 2 might be a little troublesome. I think that Bryce Young sooner or later is going to figure it out. So we'll see against Carolina and the rest of those guys. Week 3, Green Bay.
I think Jordan Love's going to be better than people think.
Yeah, everybody's on the Jordan Love train already.
Not everybody.
I find hysterical. Now, week 4, they should absolutely smoke the Tampa Bay Bucks. So yeah, I think they can get off to
3-1. That's possible.
I think they get off to 3-1 start. So.
If they start 3-1, then that's definitely a great plus going in direction they need to go. Potential 10 wins. If they can go 3-1 and start 3-1, that gives them a great chance to do that. I don't think they're going to start 3-1. That doesn't mean I don't think that I'm making a prediction on the over/under yet. I just don't think they're going to start 3-1. I'm here to say that. So. No. But my prediction will come out on September 8th and whatever. We'll talk about that. All right, before I let you go, the absolute last thing I want to talk about, what I've been – so I am in week number 4 of my NFL team previews on bet.NOLA.com. Okay, and so I'm going division by division. I'm doing a team a day, Tuesday through Friday, for 7 weeks. 1 week we've got 2 divisions in a week because I started late because I went on vacation. But anyway, so this week was the NFC East. So what I've been doing with my guests is having them grade my picks. Okay, so here are my NFC East picks. Washington Commanders were up today. They just went up this morning. If you want to go check them out, you can find them on bet.nola.com or wherever you're watching this, you can find them all in the same place there as well. They're all easy to find. So here's my thinking on the Philadelphia Eagles being behind the Cowboys. The Cowboys 12-5 2 years in a row. I think they're good to go that same record again. I am worried about the Eagles for a couple reasons. I think that they overachieved last year and had just a super, super easy schedule, which kind of helped them kind of overachieve a little bit. I think they're going to take a step back. Losing both their coordinators, I think, is also a big deal. Their offensive line has had a couple changes, and they have an injury at left tackle right now that concerns me. I don't know that they're going to be the number 1 offensive line again. So enough concerns about Philadelphia for me to have them take a step back. And then the Giants, I just don't like their schedule. I don't like the mess with Saquon. the reason why I have them fourth. I think they're a mess in waiting. I'm not saying Brian Dable is going to get fired. I know he was the coach of the year last year, but I think they way overachieved and their schedule is super tough. So that's my reasoning for where I have this stuff. You tell me what you think.
All right. I think the Eagles are going to win the division. I think they'll go 12-5. I think Jalen Hurts is a really strong quarterback. I'm a little more down on the Cowboys. I think they make the playoffs, which is fine. They'll get the 5 seed. Either 10-7 or 11-6. Sam Howell in Washington. By the way, I hope they change their name. The Commander's name.
That's
ridiculous. It absolutely stinks. Like it is one.
They need to go back to the Redskins. And yep, I said it. I said it on the air. It's out there. You can post it wherever you want. Garland's got his hands thrown up.
I am staying out of this one.
There was stories coming out this week that I'm just saying that there are people of that ilk or whatever you want to call it. I don't know how to say it politely or whatever the correct term is, that want the name to come back. And I think it should come back. I still call them the Redskins when I'm not on the air, by the way.
So Commanders is one of the worst nicknames ever.
What would you call them? The Generals? What would you call them? The Capitals?
I need to do a little research there.
Or would you come up with some animal name? Would you call them like the Squirrels?
I mean, their offensive line was known as the Hogs back in the 80s.
Oh, that wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, that was their Hogs. That was their nickname in the 80s.
The Washington Wild Hogs.
Yeah, the Hogs. All right, we're getting off base here. Anyway, Sam Howell is an okay quarterback. 6-11. I think you're right on cue with that one. New York, I think 8-9, or 9-8.
You think they're going to be that good?
I mean,
why do you think New York's? I mean, that's what they were last year, but they had. I think it was the 31st easiest schedule in the league. By the way, the Eagles had the easiest schedule in the league.
I think Brian Dable is a really good coach.
I agree with you. I think he's a great coach too.
And he made Daniel Jones a rich man and made Saquon Barkley not a rich man.
Right, that's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, well, maybe
one's making $40 million a year and one's making $11 million a year. Yeah. To me, the wrong one's making the $40 million a year.
Yeah, no, I think that they have a shot to make the playoffs also as a wild card. So
you think their defense is good enough?
I
like Kayvon Thibodeau, but I mean,
dude, they're talking about Kayvon Thibodeau being the next Lawrence Taylor. They're all in on Kayvon Thibodeau. But no, I think Washington stinks. Still, along with their nickname, is even worse. That they don't make the playoffs at all. I think New York and Seattle will be fighting for that last wild card playoff spot.
You do? Okay. Well, that's interesting. All right. Well, see, I'm glad I asked you the question because I just think, and I took the Giants schedule off. I didn't want to fill up my reservoir here on the right. But I tell you, when you go look at their schedule, they have a recipe for disaster with the way that it's set up. They could start out, they seriously could start out like 1-6.
Yeah.
Which and as well as I do. And to me, it was the reason why, as much as Washington fought back last year and finished 8-1, which was overachieving, they started out 1-4 last year, and it ended up being a big problem spot. It got Carson Wentz out of a job. They brought in Taylor Heineke. I guess things got a little better, but then they played Sam Howell that last game of the year. Finally, by the way, they did officially name him the starting quarterback this morning or last night. So, but I don't know that Sam Howell's the answer, but I don't know. To me, if you have a rough start to the season, hence going back to the Saints, why I think they need to be 3-1 or they need to at least be like 4-2 and get that momentum going. I think it's just so hard if you don't start fast.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, and I think the Eagles will start fast. The Cowboys, I'm sure Cowboys are gonna have some problems no matter what. It's just Dallas. It's a roller coaster ride. I think Dak Prescott's maybe not a top 10 quarterback. I think he's right on the next little tier right there. Right, I think Derek Carr and Dak are about on the same wavelength.
You're just having a North Louisiana bias. He's from Houghton High.
Yeah. No. I'm not as in on the Cowboys as a lot of people are. So There you go.
I think the Cowboys O-line, by the way, and I know it's blasphemous to some people in the Northeast that we have people watching from all over. I think Dallas's offensive line could be better than Philadelphia's when all is said and done. And they have, the weapons, and CeeDee Lamb and Tony Pollard going to stay healthy. And they have a lot of weapons too. We'll see. But can Dak get them there? All right, man. Any special bet you got going on or anything? What is your bet of the week? I missed the show last night. I was working. I was working till 1 a.m. What is your bet of the week?
I got Women's World Cup. It's on Fox 8 at 5 a.m. on Sunday morning. I got England. The Lionesses are going against Spain. I got them to lift the trophy. Don't bet them to win. You got to bet them to lift the trophy. Which
right, because it could be a draw technically.
Right. You got that's going through regulation, extra time, added time, penalty kicks, lift the trophy. I'm going with the Lionesses.
What is the number at that on that?
It is. Ooh, it's like minus 105. It's
okay.
Spain is actually they're like even Steven in this betting right now.
Okay.
I think England last time outbeat Australia in Australia 2-1. So I'm going with England in the Women's World Cup. That's my bet of the week, because the week before I had Manchester City smoking Burnley, and sure enough, Manchester City smoked Burnley. So got England on Sunday.
Our Women's World Cup expert, Zoe Collins-Rath, who's on vacation right now, is wonderful producer at bet.NOLA.com. She said before the Americans got knocked out that she liked England to win the whole thing. So I got to give her credit. She said it a while back. And so if you're saying that is your bet of the week, I fully endorse
Roll with it.
I know nothing about soccer, so I'm going to roll with it. All right.
You got it, bud.
Garland, Gillen, thank you so much for fighting through the mess. The muck and the mire.
Hey, you got to see the studio at Fox. Say, look at this, baby. I got, look at this. I mean, I got you out here, baby. I'm up in here. I got Nakandra's probably hate me. I've been in here for like an hour.
Nakandra's probably like, shut the hell up.
Nakandra's right there. Like, she's like,
she's like, shut up, Garland.
I'm leaving Nakandra. I'm sorry. I've been, she's got work to do. She's probably got to tape some recordings, and I'm sitting here yapping for about like 45 minutes. So, I'm going to bid adieu so I can let Nakandra get back to her,
10 seconds. Ask her real quick. When is this 100 crap going to end?
The what?
The 100-degree crap. When is this going to end?
Nakandra, this is live on podcast. When is 100-degree weather going to end? Another week?
From here?
Yeah.
No. We get a
Like-
little bit of a break on Monday with the little wave coming by. If we get enough clouds. If we don't get enough clouds and rain, forget that. And then it lasts right through the end of next week.
So maybe we get out of the hundreds at the end of next week, maybe 2 weeks from now.
We'll see.
All
Hey,
right.
that's always smart. We'll
good.
see.
I love the meteorologist. I should have been a meteorologist.
Man, you got a weathercast. You got betting odds,
awesome.
man.
This is the greatest podcast on the planet.
I'm dropping the mic and walking out the room here. So
Garland, Gillen, and Nakandra Norwood here live on Dattitude. Thank you for joining us. When I'm done, I will add my monologue and my closing song of the day. You can catch it wherever you catch your podcast, even on Amazon Music now. Thank you for joining us. This has been episode 161. Who knows what's going to happen on 162? We'll find out next Friday. Thanks, Garland. We'll talk to you later.
all right.